Yeah, we should start. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we have a pre-discussion that my friend and colleague Bree is going to be leading, and then we'll get into.
Thank you
the
for
gist of
introducing me.
Yes.
So to get started, we really want this discussion to be interactive. So we ask that you introduce yourself to someone in the room that you don't know. Share about what you do, what brought you here today to the conference, a little bit about local food if possible, or your desires for local food in your community, and then we'll get started right after that. Thank you. So mingle, stand up. Come on. Thank you.
Everybody already paired up. Hi, my name's Al Murray. I'm with the Farm Bureau. Yes, I was. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, because I've been with that in agriculture. I was with career to New Jersey Department of Agriculture as an assistant secretary, retired, and then last 6 years Farm Bureau's had me come do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Oh yeah, no, this is great. I think I'm learning an awful lot. So this is great. And your name's Alex. Potato Homestead. Oh, I live in Camden County, so you're not too far from where I am. But where is it? Okay. Yeah. Now here's a question for you. You take fruit 47 home when you go, or what is it? Do you follow that chair on the house that everybody's waiting to fall off the?
I just saw that not that long ago, and I finally noticed it. I didn't never.
I always noticed the suitcase, but I've never noticed it. Well, now that it has its own Facebook page, there's this house on the way to in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The top roof is completely missing, but the stuff that was in the attic still sits there.
If you're new to the room, we're just going up to somebody we don't know and introducing ourselves, and we'll be. How about one more minute?
Now it has its own Facebook page and everything.
Make a new friend. Yeah, you got to make a new friend.
We're just doing introductions. Briana.
Nice to meet you, Briana. Yeah. Looking forward to this panel.
Here too.
How is Sharon doing?
She's doing good. Let's say like New York. I have customers in New York City. She's probably going for a walk.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, did you make a new friend? Got to hook up on some local blueberries for next season? All right, let's bring the attention back together. Oh boy, this was a popular idea, Bree. All right, thank you for introducing yourselves. All right. Thank you all for being here to the conversation. So we don't really see this so much as a panel, as a conversation on strategies for increasing consumer demand for locally produced foods. We're talking into microphones because this is being recorded. So that's why. So I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Karyn Moskowitz. I'm with Interfaith Neighbors in Asbury Park. I'm a recent returnee to New Jersey after 40 years of being away. I grew up eating a lot of New Jersey produce back in those days. So I was born in 1962 in Matawan on the west side of Monmouth County. It was very normal, and I don't even know, like we were the local, the original locavores, I think my mother and I, but we didn't know that we were being, cool and hip to be eating local food. But it was definitely something I remember waiting for the blueberries to come. We didn't really have in the grocery store blueberries from Peru, for example, in the winter, waiting for the tomato, zucchini, corn, etc. And now we find ourselves, I just drew a statistic that New Jersey ranks in the top 10 in the nation in the production of several crops. But yet, when we look in our own communities, we're not seeing a lot of this local food. We're not seeing it in the grocery stores. We are trying to innovate to get food to everybody in the community, but it's tough to get funding. So that's why we're here today, to talk about how do we go back to those days I'm talking about and get everybody super excited to eat local food in New Jersey that will benefit not only our health and the health of our community, but our farmers. So I wanted the farmers on the panel. I'm so excited I'm here with farmers, especially one of my farmers here. I help distribute blueberries for Chesterfield Organic to food pantries in Monmouth County. So thank you for growing our blueberries. I wanted to just give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself, so I'll hand it over to James.
Hi, my name is James Kinsel. I'm from Chesterfield Organic Orchards, formerly known as Honeybrook Organic Farm. I'm farming in Pennington and Chesterfield, or we were farming in Pennington. I've been farming organically for 35 years. In 1991, I started farming at the Stony Brook Millstone Watershed Association in Pennington under the name Watershed Organic Farm, where I established the second CSA program in New Jersey with 50 members. I grew that business to reach a peak of 4,000 CSA shares, about 8,000 consumers in around 2016. At that time, we were doing about 140 acres of organic vegetables. At one time, we were the largest CSA farm in the United States. We saw declines in membership over the following years. During COVID, we did home delivery throughout the central and northern parts of the state. I have experience doing farmers markets in the late 90s and early 2000s. I also wholesaled tomatoes through NOFA New Jersey sponsored tomato co-op. We operated profitably during the 2000s in most years with net profit of around $250,000, which is actually pretty good. The last several years, we were just breaking even or losing money. And that started around 2016, and after various unsuccessful attempts to tweak the CSA model for a return to profitability, we stopped doing our CSA in 2021. We've downsized. We're currently just doing pick your own and wholesale organic asparagus, fruit production, including strawberries, blueberries, fresh figs, American and Asian persimmon, and Chinese chestnuts.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex McKeage. I'm from the Potato Homestead in Woodbine, New Jersey. That's in Cape May County. My husband and I run a 15-acre farm, 5-acre garden, and we supply 7 farmers markets in the summertime, 1 farmers market year-round. And we do a small home delivery service, which is like a subscription, or you can buy items a la carte off the website. And we also do a little bit of wholesale to local restaurants and a small grocery store. So we have a little bit of everything going on. But yeah, did I cover it? Is that it? In our experience, the local markets have been very good, but they're at the beach in the summertime, and the year-round one is in a city in Philadelphia. So we've had good luck with local enthusiasm for our vegetables, but I realize that is not the case statewide. So happy to help.
My name is, can you all hear me? Okay, great. My name is Briana. I use she, her pronouns. I am the director of Enlightened Farm. We are part of the Hansen Foundation nonprofit. We are a therapeutic farm that works directly with people healing from addiction and mental illness. And we have therapeutic horticulture as well as agriculture programs. We grow a variety of crops. We're on a 2.5-acre space. So we are a smaller farm, but part of our initiative is to run our program, we have to have enough production. So local to us is very important because we have a small staff. So we have to mobilize our local community in order for our program to work. So we have done farmers markets. We're working on an on-site market. And one of our models is actually selling our produce right to the treatment facilities that we work with. And that has been really successful for us because it's a direct purchase to a really dependable vendor. But we're really here today to learn more about your experience and how we can potentially use some ideas, because we're always having to change with the economy, COVID. Our model has changed so many times. I'm hoping that in this year 6 of Enlightened Farm, it's something more solid and successful for our program.
All right. So the panelists, as Bree just mentioned, were really passionate about hearing from all of you and came up with a few questions. First, we want to see, where do you all fall in the food system? So how many people here are dedicated growers? Awesome. Thank you for growing our food. How about consumers? Educated consumers. Knowing where our, asking or knowing or seeking out, knowing where our food comes from, seeking out local food. What about distributor of local food? Right. And what about community organizers, so organizing in the community to spread knowledge about local food for people who would normally be disenfranchised from that information? So we have a pretty diverse group here, so you're getting an idea of who's in the room. Where do people get their local food in the room? Who gets local food from a grocery store? So you have grocery stores with local food. Where do you live?
With local food.
New Jersey food?
Yeah, I mean, a shop, right?
Yeah? Yeah? Mine doesn't have that in my, Neptune, I don't think, right, Danny? I've never seen it. Oh, right. Bree has to give you the mic. I'm sorry. I forgot.
We just have
Thanks,
to,
Bree.
it's just for the recording.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thanks, Bree.
Yeah, I have 2 grocery stores in my area. I am in Hunterdon County. I think both Hunterdon County. Basil Bandwagon. They carry some local products. A friend of mine, her farm, Rolling Hills Farm, they carry her greens and things like that. So, and I've seen other local growers.
Is this in a rural area?
No, one is Lambertville, Flemington, and they have a 3rd location in Clinton. I forgot about that.
Thank you. What about who here has a CSA they subscribe to? Oh. Do you want- That's sad.
Hi, my name is Sam. I just picked up my first ever CSA box on Wednesday.
Woo!
Love the applause for that. Yeah, I was cheering when I saw the vegetables as well. So it's actually City Greens CSA.
Oh. From their farm? Or? Wait, where's City Greens? Oh, okay. There you are. Hi. Wow. What about farmers markets? All right. Wow. Does anybody who didn't raise their hand want to say, like, are you going to, I don't want to single you out or like, what's that? Okay. Here. Oh, you raised your hand.
I just wanted to say that I have the privilege of working at a nonprofit organization that farms, and I think that maybe some of us also are working at farming organizations, and I don't think without actually having to go to work every day that I would have access to locally grown produce. The hours of our farm stand, like the location, it's like not in my school pickup drop zone, the hours are not, and so, I'm, like I said, come from a very privileged, and very honored to be a part of that local food system and local food consumer, but it really is, not easy, right? Like if I did not work at City Green, I would just be at ShopRite hoping for local zucchini in August as well.
It's the same with me.
I am married to a farmer, so we get a lot of food from his farm, including eggs, which has been really great because I just don't like supermarket eggs. And because we're in a farming community, we get a lot of stuff from other farms and, trades with farms. But actually, the grocery store that I often go to gets a lot of New Jersey produce, like South Jersey produce from some of the bigger fruit and vegetable farms. Not just, we get stuff from California and South America too there. This particular supermarket is a regional 4-store chain, and it's not labeled with the name of the farm.
What is the supermarket?
It's called Adams Fairacre Farms. I don't live in New York, by the way. I mean, I live in New York. I don't live in New Jersey. I'm an interloper, so I'm from the Hudson Valley, and it's a chain that gets a lot of, they do support local. They have pictures of friends of ours who are like on the shopping carts, but then they get stuff from everywhere, including here.
That is so cool. So how do we all marry farmers so we could get this food? You have any advice? Oh my God, don't tell my boyfriend. Okay. So you were talking about Adams. What percentage of that food is local during the growing season?
I think it's something to bring people in the door, but I think the majority of their stuff is not. They do try. They try. They do a lot better than ShopRite or Hannaford's, but it's not, I don't think it's like shifting the food economy or anything like that.
Oh, like syrups and. Wow. Yeah. Our last, oh, sorry, Meredith. Our last question for all of you is, what are the barriers you personally face, or maybe you want to talk about barriers you've seen your friends or community members facing in accessing this local produce?
Hi, I work for Somerset County government, and so we were trying to work with large corporations that have a lot of employees, and maybe they have their own corporate cafeteria, and bringing more local produce into their cafeterias. So one of the barriers is around procurement policies. So a lot of the corporations work with like the Cisco's of the world, and for government entities like a county government, we have very, very strict procurement policies. I used to work at Rutgers. They have strict procurement policies. So it's very hard to expand who you would be purchasing food from because of the procurement policies within the institution. So I don't know if anyone is in this room is working specifically on institutional procurement policies.
Is there
but
a common
it has a
market?
huge impact on the ability to buy local food.
Is Common Market in the room?
Thank you.
Okay. But also maybe they have institutions they could point to. But yeah, but Janine's right. It sounds like it's I don't think, no, it's not a state policy issue, right? It's each individual. Is it? For Rutgers. Yeah.
Some of it does touch on state policy.
Right. If it's a state institution, obviously. Is there somebody else who wants to comment on barriers?
One of the barriers is winter. Like, I feel in the summer.
Yeah, totally.
I never worry about, finding fresh produce in the good, like when the weather is great. But as the weather dwindles, farmers are tired at that point. So it's hard to keep it going. And then you're tied to a limited space and a limited crop produce. So that's I really hate the winter time, because in the summer I feel very rich where I live and I can access it. But in the winter it's hard. And then the other thing are laws. Laws are, preventing farmers from making secondary products. So like when they have an excess of peppers to make spices or hot sauce or salsas, they have to ship them out to other states and then have them come back because the laws in New Jersey are crazy. So
Yeah, I thought
yeah,
so.
it's limited. It's limited in like there's certain things like you can't do hot sauce, you can't do salsa, you can't do marinara, you can't do like there's a lot of limitations to the cottage law is amazing.
I see.
But there's a lot of yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not a law. Oh well. Oh, it's terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that. I see him. Yeah. All right. Before
got it.
Hailey, we have someone from Common Market. I'd love for you to comment on maybe. Oh, wait. We had a question here first. Hold on.
Oh yeah. Hi. I'm a livestock producer, and my biggest challenge, as well as my consumer, is that getting like processing dates. Anyone who does livestock would know how difficult it is to like process any of your own animal. So for me to even like schedule my steer or goats and sheep, I have to wait to until like next year, mid-year, to send it to like Pennsylvania. And my biggest struggle is that I also do halal, so I cannot just send it to any slaughterhouse, and the only slaughter place or processing place that's halal is in Patterson, and they're not good. So they're not good.
Yeah.
So I'm now debating if I should be a livestock farmer or if I should be a livestock processor. I want to do both, but like I'm still like it's a gray area because of like all this custom exemption, religious exemption, and all that. So yeah, that's because I do get customers even from New York City. I have a lot of customers from like Central Jersey, mostly like from Asia, Muslim, and they do send me orders. So we want to do a cattle, we want to do goat and sheep, but where am I going to process these? I mean, it's tough.
Meredith has maybe a You have to speak into the microphone.
I just wanted to ask a question about your situation. Several years ago, an academic who's, I think, West Coast based, named Tom Forrester, had been part of a consortium of folks that were looking at getting grants, and I think they got some successfully for mobile processing. Now, you can't use that for a steer because it's too big, but for pigs, goats, thank you, and sheep, they were able to get Pacific Northwest growers to form a cooperative. So they purchased one unit and then they drove it around from farm to farm to farm. So I would encourage you to look into sort of the bowels of USDA on their website, and some of these folks have like how-to manuals, successful grants that have, kind of went their course, and then they publish papers on them, because it sounds like that's something that you could potentially do if you had other growers that were particularly in your situation that wanted that halal processing, but you want to have more control over it, to go in on it together with the other farmers, so that you can control it yourself.
Thank you. We'll catch up with you after. There's also a model at Kentucky State, mobile processing.
Yeah.
But that came from within the state. There was an urgency in the state to do what you're saying. So that's what we should. If we had another few hours, we could just solve that problem today.
I'm here for that.
The question was about institutional.
I'm in Somerset County, so we've been in touch with Common Market. We're working with you and appreciate your partnership. We were just talking about, as we're having conversations with a lot of corporations in the county about, they all want to buy local, but they have procurement models that make it very challenging. They're working with the Ciscos of the world. If they're a government entity like us, there's a lot of rules and regs around where they can purchase from who, for how much. So I think Janine was looking for you to speak a bit to how you work with these procurement policies.
Or like naming, like who are the innovators who don't give us who don't give farmers a lot of trouble in institutions and will love to buy local.
Everybody. So I think the first thing, I'm sorry, Hailey Johnston from the Common Market. I think the first thing that most institutional procurement is focused on is food safety, and so making sure that there is food safety and traceability throughout the supply chain. So for our organization, we learned very early on about all of the different barriers that institutional buyers are putting into place I'm going to say in some instances to prevent participation from local vendors, but in many instances, it's also for a good reason, right? Like they have to keep their constituents safe first and foremost, right? So some of the barriers may seem arbitrary, but I think many of them are also well-intentioned. So for us, we achieve a third-party food safety and handling audit through NSF. It's the SQF program. It's a global program.
Alphabet soup program.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's a National Safety Foundation, Safe Quality Food, but it's a global food safety protocol. What then many institutions are looking for is further audits and programs that farmers are participating in, and especially produce farmers. Many are looking for USDA GAP certification, so good agricultural practices. Which makes it harder for smaller farms to participate, but certainly not insurmountable. And like one of the things we do is we work with the farmers to become GAP ready, and then we also cost share the GAP audit so they can actually get the GAP audit. But so like organizations like ours, though, we work with all of the food service management companies, Sodexo, Aramark, Compass Group, and all of their affiliates in all of the institutional segments that really you can think of. Because for us, it's always been about overcoming the barriers for farmer participation in market opportunities. And just real quick on halal. Yeah, my man. So huge demand for halal in most of the places where we're working. And right now, we represent all halal chicken that's coming through Locust Point in Elkton, Maryland. 100% of what they're processing there is halal. But finding solutions, halal solutions, and even just like not even just halal, but like finding small processor solutions for small ranchers is critical to the viability of ag. So,
Could you help him? You could hang out after the conference, okay, and help him. He has cute goats.
Did you have a question?
We have time for maybe one more, and then we're going to come back.
We just have to do this for the recording.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Yes, I did want to add that, so City Green has undergone the GAP process, the GAP food safety process at our farm, but we have two customers that are institutions that we work really cleanly with, and we have not posed any issues, and one is a local Head Start program. So Head Start does buy storage crops from us, especially in the wintertime, potatoes, beets, carrots, and that's it's completely different than whatever the public school system is, and so our local Head Start is able to make purchases from us, as well as local food pantries. Kumac in Passaic County and Patterson also purchases from City Green. They have funding to do so, and I do know, and I'm not the person to answer this question, but there is a lot of funding for food pantries to purchase from farmers in New Jersey. I think that conversation is actually happening in another room right now.
Yep.
So if you're a grower and that seems like a viable market option for you to do an institutional sales, food pantries are a good option to do as well.
And a shameless plug for a panel I'm on after this about food pantries
It's next
purchasing
one?
from
Okay,
farmers.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's more information.
But
to
no,
be
that panel is going on right now about
okay.
the money.
About the money.
Yeah, I think, or maybe later, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to our farmers. We have about 20 minutes left. I want to ask each farmer, discuss your goals and strategies for increasing demand for local food. Does this include partners, collaborators, etc.? And then also, if you want to include challenges that you've had, I know that you discussed, what is it called, the meal kits, etc., like what's getting in the way of people eating local food. Maybe comment on help you may or may not get from the state or the county, and just, solutions that you may want to pursue with all of us. You could go like,
Okay.
4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Based on my 35 years of experience in retail sales, my thinking is that in order to develop effective strategies for increasing consumer demand moving forward, it is instructive to look at where we have been. This is my brief assessment. From 1988 to 2016, if you grew it, the consumer would come. The local food movement further turbocharged and expanded consumer interest in local farm products for about a decade. Organic, at least, was selling itself. Additionally, COVID was a come-to-Jesus moment for the consumer that, in my experience, dissipated when broccoli shortages failed to materialize. The market situation is much different now. The consumer has moved on from an unqualified commitment to local, with convenience and price now paramount to purchasing decisions. In the state of New Jersey, with a population of 9 million, my best guess is that you can currently find maybe 100,000 to 200,000, which is about 1% to 2% of consumers that get it and have made a commitment to local. I don't know if Brian Schilling has figures on that or not. That's just based on my experience. We obviously would like to expand that cohort. As I look at the problem, we have two strategies for increasing consumer demand. We can compete on price and convenience, or some combination of the two, or we can exhort the consumer to support local despite higher price and or convenience, or some combination of those two. These strategies could be pursued by the formation of a food hub or producer co-op with a capacity for home delivery and wholesale sales. Lancaster County Co-op is a success story that should be looked at and considered for emulation.
Is that in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
And it's a collection point?
Right,
And then where does
yeah.
it go from there?
Throughout, I guess, the tri-state area, you'll find it in Basil Bandwagon, most of your health food stores in New Jersey, Whole Earth in Princeton. We were bringing in some additional products during COVID through Lancaster Co-op.
Did they have help from the state, or were they just on their own, farmers, self-organized?
I don't know. I don't know the details of how they formed, but I will say that, like, in the 30 years that I've been going out to Lancaster County, there is a lot more vegetable production going on out there than there had been, and I think that must be through Lancaster Farm Fresh.
Wow. Is there a student who wants to help study Lancaster this semester?
I have one more comment. Do I have time? In my assessment, Jersey Fresh promotions are ineffective. I suspect that exhorting consumers from billboards to buy local is a message that everyone has already heard. Jersey Fresh should provide arguments for why buying from local farms is important. Food miles, sustainability, food security, food safety, food quality, food nutrition. Do Jersey farms have the same Listeria, Salmonella, and E. coli recall rates as foreign or Western grown produce? If we don't, we should take advantage of that.
Are you saying that their marketing message doesn't include these attributes of
I've
local
seen
food?
billboards that just say,
Buy local.
Buy local.
I
mean,
see.
we've gotten that message. That message, we
Right,
got
right.
that message 20 years ago.
Gotcha.
Now it's possible that you can exhort the consumer over and over and over again. They're just not looking for it.
Oh, thank you so much, Jim. It's sobering.
I would echo a lot of what James just said. But in our experience, the last 11 or 12 years, we have just made it such a point to educate every single person that comes to our market tent. And it seems like that has made a huge difference in people coming back to the market and coming back to our stand specifically. And I think maybe it would help if we all had the same language, like making a sheet that said 10 reasons to buy farm fresh produce from a farmer's market or directly from a farm. And if we all had the same sheet that had like, you know, all a list of those reasons, and they saw it in a bunch of different places on TV or on billboard, or when they went to the doctor, like maybe a doctor's office could handle these things out. I don't know. But somehow just hitting the message home again and again and again might make a difference. And then when they come to the market and they see that it really is like a higher quality product, then they want to come back. So it's just those like really grassroots things, but I think a co-op would be a great idea. But then on the other hand, like I don't know that I would have the maybe the patience or the extra time to devote to getting a co-op like up and running, or devote some of my resources or my produce to going to that if I wasn't going to see a return on it right away. So it would have to be like a really big push for something like that, but I think that's a great idea. Any other
talking points that we all have?
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. One of the reasons I got into farming and into the food system was after I left New Jersey and went to school in Washington, D.C., I got really sick. I got like a chronic illness that was directly correlated to eating and what food you were consuming. And I was in college, and the food access, we were in a food desert. The food that was served in the school cafeteria was not fresh, not local. And I got really sick, and I was trying to figure out, like, what's going on? I mean, besides college stress and drinking. It was really correlated to food, and I didn't realize the amount of privilege I had from leaving South Jersey to the amount of fresh food we had when I was growing up, and what my mom made a commitment to providing on our table until I left home. So over that span, it was more of like a curiosity about food and the accessing of food throughout different systems. So coming back to New Jersey, coming back to the Garden State, I was so excited to have access through my job to farm directly on beautiful land. And there's still this huge gap between the consumer and the grower. And I would say for people that have the ability to farm, we sometimes forget about that access point because we're in it so much. You know, we're just farming every day. We're taking the leftover produce, making our food from it. We sometimes don't realize, like, people don't even ask the question of who's growing my food or where did it come from, or looking at a label at a store or at the farmer's market, asking, hey, is this grown here? Did you get this from another farm? Are you a vendor? Are you purchasing this from another farm? There are not these questions being asked. And I feel that part of the local issue is that we don't have a educated base. So what is that going to require for all of us to get curious and not shaming people when they're accessing food for the first time in this way? So where I work, Megan is the farm director. We work with people that are healing from addiction and severe mental illness. They come to the farm when they're in treatment 2 times a week for therapeutic horticulture. And then when they're done that level of care, they have an opportunity to work at the farm for 6 months. And in that program, they're learning how to farm, and we're teaching the community about the benefits of eating well. And we found that providing all of this education and direct service work to this vulnerable community, then going out to farmers markets and telling them about what we do, telling them why you should shop organic, why this looks a little weird rather than something that's manicured. We were feeling very discouraged by some of the customers. This wasn't all, you know, we have some great customers, but we were feeling very discouraged by that customer base coming to the market. We weren't seeing people using SNAP. We had conversations with farmers market managers where they didn't care that one of the farm stands were selling lemons. Like, lemons don't grow in New Jersey. That's not appropriate to sell at the farmers market, farmers with an apostrophe S, because it's supposed to be our market. And we had to really think in this last year, what does it mean to really nourish the community? And for the community we serve specifically in Atlantic County, it's a very vulnerable population that doesn't get, you know, doesn't get their voice at the table, right? Like they just don't. So we've changed our model a bit, and we're very excited to enter 2024. We've had the help with Good Food Bucks, City Green, thank you, to provide us with additional dollars for our community on SNAP to purchase our organic food at half the price. So this is something that we're really excited about, because normally our community wouldn't be able to purchase organic food independently. They either don't have transportation, the cost is higher at the market, or the farmer's market that does offer SNAP is when they're working their job to survive. So we're finding that we really want to hone in on our exact community and help serve them, not go to a market that people don't even live in our town. They're not contributing to our economy. They don't care if Joe is suffering from addiction. They want to know why this microgreen costs $8 rather than $6. So we're really trying to hone in on that. The other thing is we did get lucky in finding a market that was very welcoming to us. It's not every week, it's once a month, and it's in Hamilton. And we saw a shift in the type of customers that were really curious about what we do, about what food, like how to make this squash. Like, do you have a recipe? And I was like, you want to talk food? Let's go, And it was this exciting engagement that really helps us add purpose into what we do, because we are trying to do this hard job. But when we see the consumer really appreciate what we do, it's the motivation. So we're looking at doing that market. It's not as high of a lift for us because it's one time a month. We're going to move forward with the mobile market for our sober living residents, which is with SNAP and Good Food Bucks. And we're going to increase, hopefully, our sales with the treatment centers so that we can have a consistent buyer each week. Our last point for local purchasing is on Fridays, we're opening an on-site market at the farm, and our hope is to get people there to really see the farm, because a lot of people don't have that opportunity. They just go to the grocery store and they don't know where their food comes from, and we want to be part of the education piece and the bridge to showing people, okay, this is how we do it. Like, this is why it costs X amount of money. We want you to pay that extra rather than supporting unethical labor, right? Like those extra dollars that we're asking for is the difference between someone working in like unimaginable conditions. That's why your food is $2 versus $6. Right? And I think there's this education piece that's missing. And my hope for Atlantic County, where we farm, and in South Jersey, there was a really robust farming community way back in the day. My hope is that there's this revitalization movement, and that the people, even if they're not growing their own food, are at least curious enough to understand that farms are a commodity in your community, just like water, just like air. If you don't have a farm in your community within X a mile radius, I don't think we'd want to live there. And we don't always have a choice where we live, but can we prop up people that can provide the food we need to survive? I would hope so. I would think that would be a commitment to our community. So to me, local food is beyond just, hey, this is like, this cabbage tastes way better than the cabbage I got at ShopRite. Well, yeah, of course it tastes better. But it's more about, this is like a gift from my community that I'm sharing. This is a commodity. A farm is a vital resource. It's something that it's non-negotiable at this point. And I really hope that all of you as stakeholders start to see that and fight for that in your communities, because the farmers, like, we are tired. We get tired and we can't always be the voice, but if we have partners and stakeholders and customers that are like, hey, we believe in you, I want to feed my family with your food. Like, that is how we form community. That is how we form local partnerships. And yes, we're dealing with a capitalistic system. We're dealing with cheaper costs, and you have to think about budgeting and all this for your families. I get that. And I just hope that people choose to support local farmers. I hope that local farmers accept SNAP to help people that need additional resources. And I hope you think about farms as a commodity in your community.
Here, here.
Rant over.
So we have 2 minutes left. I wish we had a few hours. This is such a fun, exciting conversation. I'm getting really excited. I have a purple cabbage from Fernbrook Farm. Thank God, in my fridge because it's rough, like in the winter. Who said earlier? Oh, she left. But 2 minutes if there's any final points that the panelists want to make. Yeah.
On collective solutions, the farmer co-op idea, specialization could bring production costs down to compete on price. Home delivery would address the convenience side. Price competitiveness could also be addressed with some form of government subsidy, either at the consumer end or the production end. An example of production end subsidies for vegetable growers is a new pilot grant program offered by the USDA, which offers offsets on some of the costs of ag labor for the H-2A guest worker program.
Oh. New this in 2024? Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Oh, what's that? I don't actually know the name.
It's for H-2A workers who are coming in from other countries to work on New Jersey farms, yeah. Any other last, we have 2 minutes. You, Alex, would you, my farmer.
I just want to say that I think we would have a lot more access to winter food if we had access to geothermal technology and there was more money, more funding for it, you know? In New Jersey, we only experience so many days that are below zero, you know? And there's a flower farmer a little north of Fernbrook. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly where.
Moonshot, probably.
Yeah, moonshot.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But she's got geothermal in her greenhouses, and they offset it by they had full-time, you know, really good like tech security jobs, and that's the only way they could offset it. But if we had access to that kind of stuff, we'd have a lot more production in New Jersey. It doesn't get that cold here. We could do that with geothermal. It's possible. They did that for USDA grant. They did. Well, no, I just listened to that winter podcast. She said part of it did, but I mean, still, the amount of infrastructure you have to find the right engineers. But there should just be more access to geothermal technology than there is, you know.
Love that.
Yes, we need winter food. One last comment? Chris?
Shameless shout out.
Absolutely.
The farmers markets that actually do operate year round.
Yeah.
While there's quite a bit of food that a lot of our conventional farmers do shut down for the winter. I run a market. I have 16 farmers at my market through the winter. Grow It Green is in the room. Dean sells at Hunterdon through the winter somewhat. You know, if you look for it, there are farmers markets throughout the winter, and you can eat locally. I mean, I've got Chickadee Creek and Terhune Orchards and Jeff's Organic, Krowicki Farm. There are 4 New Jersey growers that are growing product.
What county is that?
We're in Mercer County.
Mercer, okay.
West Windsor. So we're Saturdays, first and third Saturday through, you know, December through April before we go back to weekly. But there is local food if you look for it.
Depending on what county you live in, but
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Depending on what county, but yes, we're working on it.
Okay, thank you for coming to our panel. I hope that some of the ideas that came out of this, for example, geothermal, we talked about producer co-ops, we talked about getting help with processing, we talked about really working on a local level to get consumers, you know, to be in a good market, as you said, that where consumers are curious and have farms in every community. So thank you all. I hope you enjoy the next session, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.